All right. So we're recording, Joe. Before we move further along, we'll put this in the podcast, but I want to introduce Joseph Allen, who is my cousin. He is a friend to Lance, and he's also a United States Marine. So you don't have to be a Marine to get on this podcast, but it does help. But that's not what got Joe on this podcast. What got Joe on this podcast is he's got the biggest brain of anybody I know.
Yeah. I figured you just made him feel guilty.
Yeah.
Told him we need help.
He was too, I'll tell you this, he was too smart to stay in the Marine Corps. Only the dummies stay in for the quarter of their life.
That's not true.
Yeah, you're anyway. Yeah, you're assuming you're gonna live to 80.
So hey, I want to put my glasses on, but when I do, my mustache does not look near as cool. So before I put my glasses on, let's talk about this mustache. I just shaved this mustache in today, and I'm going to tell you why. Katrina and I had the pleasure of going to see Top Gun Maverick yesterday, and
old Miles Teller.
Tell you something, that dude, that's a good-looking young man right there. No, I did. I did not quite shave a regulation mustache in, and I still got the 5 o'clock shadow because so did an active duty captain in the Navy, and Pete Maverick Mitchell had a fucking 3 o'clock shadow the entire movie. So I mean, I guess no admirals ever correct captains in the Navy. They can just have a 3 o'clock shadow and do whatever the fuck they want. But if either of you have not seen the new Top Gun, I highly recommend it. And I will tell you that I hate movies. I'm anti-movie because it's been a long time since anybody in Hollywood has put out anything that I think is worth spending my time watching. To me, like, the older I get, I realize that most important thing that I have other than my family is my time. Time is more important than money. So if for me to invest 2 hours into something, it's going to have to be better than the garbage that they put out. If I see another Michael Bay movie where all it is flashing lights and explosions and no plot line whatsoever. If you've seen a Michael Bay movie, the only good Michael Bay movie I'll say is that Benghazi movie, the 13 Hours.
Oh, did he direct that?
I think he did.
I didn't even realize that.
I'm pretty positive he did. The rest of them, complete bullshit. But anyway, back to the mustache. I did cut this mustache in, and you know what? I think I like it. I think I'm going to keep it. Katrina.
More importantly, does Trina like it?
She couldn't be further from happy. So it's just the way it is. We've been married for 16 years, and she's not going to divorce me over a mustache. But it may be just a straw on top of the straws that eventually he's going to break that back. But we'll see. Anyway, I digress. Now I'm putting my old man glasses on. I no longer look like an F-18 pilot. Now I look like somebody who's getting ready to.
You look like the red stapler guy.
Tank. All right. So Joe, tell us more about what you're doing for Ford. What the Marine Corps put out in you as a product into the world to succeed, like we all do.
Yeah, so like I mentioned previously, I'm a data scientist at Ford. So like an example of what I do. So like the first project I was working on was a computer vision model, which basically would give customers, well, first it would tell customers whether their vehicle was totaled or not, and then give them an estimate of the repair costs and the associated components that needed to be repaired based off of the images they took. So basically designed an algorithm that would look at the images that customers would take and upload to Ford's, it's called Ford Pass. It's their mobile app. And just by uploading these images, they would, be told whether or not their vehicle was repairable, and then the components that need replaced and how much that would cost. So it's basically a way for Ford to funnel people into their dealerships, into the mechanics at their dealerships. And now I'm working on a project where we're trying to predict refrigerant levels for cabin and battery cooling, to help prevent compressor damage. So it would notify drivers of a potential leakage in their refrigerant levels. So currently we call it a time series model. So any type of data that's based off of time that you make predictions on or do forecasting on, we call it a time series model. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, he's way smarter than you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Lance.
I knew that when he was ground side, but
I don't know about you, Lance, but I fancy myself a pretty smart guy, and I don't know what any of the shit he said meant. But I know Ford's a reputable company, and they probably only hire smart people to do fans and shit like that. So,
Well,
no,
I mean, no.
Man, that's awesome though, because I mean, and I know you and everything, and you had a couple of different paths, but it seems like you have landed on the right path. I mean, you got a couple degrees, don't you?
I will in December. So I will have a bachelor's of science in electrical and computer engineering, and then a master of science in computer science with an emphasis in data science and machine learning. So
very nice.
To kind of speak to the point you just made, yeah, it took me a while to kind of find my way. I felt like I kind of floundered around for a while after the Marine Corps.
Right.
And this is kind of tangentially related to what we talked about the other day. Is I think, when you serve in the military, there's such a solid structure in place, and you get out and you don't really have that structure anymore. So I mean, at least in my experience, you kind of just, I don't know, kind of just grasping at straws and not really sure what kind of direction you have. So I was fortunate enough to kind of find my way, and now I have a great job, family stable and all that stuff. So, but I can imagine for a lot of people they're not as fortunate.
Exactly.
So,
well, I mean, I'm almost. I wouldn't say I'm one of them, but I mean, to be honest with you, when I retired, hold on, quick, come here. The star of the show. Hold on. She's not gonna be happy until I at least put her on camera for a second. What do we have here? That's beautiful.
I was gonna say, I love you. You ain't made her no pizza today?
No, I made her a hot dog today. Can you say hi to Joe and hi to Lance? Do you like Daddy's mustache?
She seems a lot happier with pizza in her hand, other than
I know
cheap ass toy you
put you down and you go over Mama. Here, look at this.
You just throw her down? Is that a scream?
I didn't even listen to you shit talkers. No, she just likes to scream at random shit. All right.
Yeah. I mean, I scream getting thrown to the ground too.
I
wasn't thrown. I was falling.
Our tangents is what makes our podcast.
Well, it's got to be entertaining, right?
Right.
What are you sipping on there?
Well, so we're in a recession.
The truth.
So I've decided to turn to Busch Light.
Oh, you should have lied to us. Cover the can. Come on, bro. It's not that bad.
This is my recession beer.
You said we're in a recession. I heard we're in the greatest economic recovery in modern American history.
That's right.
Well, I mean, if you put yourself in the basement, the only place you can go is upstairs. So, but this is not a political podcast yet. I got to get a couple more beers at me. But anyway, so I like I was saying before, the transition that I had when I left. I mean, I'm still going through it, man. I thought that, and I'll say this too, and there's not a lot of people hear me say this. I've never in my life, like, really, wouldn't say I've never failed in anything, but I've never like just really punted it into the fucking stands. You know what I mean? I was always at least, I always finished, the race, in everything, and maybe it's because I just put myself around the right people, which I think I'm really good at that. But I was like, hey, I'm gonna bet on myself when I retire. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna get my insurance license, and I'd been doing all kinds of research, and being that I was a recruiter, that just when I started filling out applications or at least putting myself out there on LinkedIn, I got the most hits for insurance sales, and I'd known recruiters who got out and went and sold insurance and made a fortune. So I was like, I'm going to do that. That's going to be me. And I got out there and I started off well, but I mean, when I realized that I'm not a fucking lone anything, man. I've never had to do anything alone. I've always had people to my left and to my right. I've always had Marines around me. I've always had family around me. And although I was really good when it came to recruiting, and I couldn't tell you why, but it was just something about it. I hated every second of it, but I could do it. I just put in the work. And really, I think that is with anything. If you do the work, you're going to be successful. But immediately, I went to work for a rather large company, and it was in Pensacola, and it was like, the high rise office or not an office. I didn't have an office, but it's a high rise building. And I went in there and I wore a suit, and I was like, that's what I thought I wanted. And it took not even half a day when I was like, this is not what I want, because I didn't trust anybody there. I didn't trust anybody. And it wasn't that I was working with bad people at all. It's just that I was working with people that had no idea how I am used to doing things. And not only that, but I also am used to working with Marines that I know, not that every Marine is an angel, but I know that most of the people that I'm working with have got my back. And a lot of them, and my best friends in the world, I know for a fact if I called, any of them, and I can name half a dozen of my closest friends right now, but if I called anybody and say, look, I really need you to book a plane ticket to Nashville because I have a body that I need to bury, and I don't want you to ask any fucking questions. I've had those people. There was no building that bond, and obviously I'm being facetious, but there was just that bond wasn't going to be built. I was just too set in whatever ways the Marine Corps gave to me, or at least having structure of being in the military. So I'm telling you right now, I failed as a insurance salesman. So I feel like for the first time in my life, that was something that I failed at. And it wasn't that I wasn't putting in the work. I had a hard time, just like Joe was saying. There's something's not right about it. And I even switched companies and moved around. I even just decided I'm not going to work. And that was the worst thing I ever did. I spent about 6 months where I was like, I'm just not going to work. I'm going to be a stay-at-home dad. And that put the cherry on top of my anxiety. Then I, got in touch with, I can't remember how, but somehow got to apply for a security position with the Predators. And that's where I'm at now. And I'm happy. But I still have, I still sit back and I'm just like, that's not the way I would do this, or that's not the way I would run this place, or if you would just listen to some of the experiences that I have and let me implement some procedures here, this place would be running like a top. I'm never going to not have that. It's probably never going to be a thing. And, as obnoxious as it may be to people, but I mean, that's I can't say long story short because I've been talking for 5 minutes, but that's kind of my story.
He's selling us,
Joe.
Joe.
I'm sorry.
It's that recruiter.
I talk, man. You put a microphone in my face, and I'm gonna use the airwaves.
Hold on, this is a cut moment.
Top Gun came out what? 85?
85 or 86?
86.
86.
Yeah, that's what we just
Joe's going to answer that question in a second. But before that, I have an interesting story about this. So I've always been an enormous, like, Top Gun fan. I think
Tom
everybody
Cruise.
knows that about me. Like,
He loves Tom Cruise.
Of course.
I mean, you can just say it. Just say it.
Like, Katrina and I, like, as we were dating, Top Gun we couldn't afford cable. Top Gun was one of the few DVDs we actually had, so we watched it all the time, and that was like our movie. But when Top Gun came out in 1986, I went to the movie theaters to see it. It's one of my earliest memories as a child, and I'm telling you, I know for a fact that Joe, your mom, took me to that movie. I think my mom was there too. I'm gonna have to like ask them about it, but I know I went with your mom, my Aunt Bonnie, and I think it was Aunt Bonnie and my mom took me and I think your brother John to see Top Gun. I'm sure John doesn't remember it, but I remember it.
Well, hold on.
Into that theater.
Listen, I apologize to interject, but if it was in 1986 and you went to the theater and Joe's 35 years old, he might not have watched it, but Joe might have been at that movie. You might have been a bun in the oven at the time.
Very true.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, I probably was.
I'm almost positive of it, probably.
Yeah. If I was born in September, then yeah.
Oh yeah, because it would have came out in the summer, I would imagine, right? Look at that. Listen, your camera's not doing you justice. You're talking about those glasses and that whatever you're calling that shit on your face. But let's see though, because the hair, bro, you got the weight, you got it going.
Yeah, you do.
Listen, I'm married to a world-class fucking hairstylist, guys. I mean, what do you?
Listen, she gave me my first post-Marine Corps haircut, by the way. Remember that when she gave me I told her to do anything she wanted and she spiked my hair up like that?
Yeah, I don't have any memory of that. No.
Wow, of course you wouldn't. Didn't involve you.
Sorry. I mean, it's definitely, there's no doubt that it's a full-time job.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You know, I think that where we're at right now, though, I think even, you know, with the improvements that Joe mentioned, which I 100% agree with, I feel like, you know, it's not awful. It's not bad. I know that it could be rearranged a little bit and we could be a little bit more active on it, which I think coming up, I'll be able to put a lot more time in it because I'm not going to work as much here coming up. But, you know, I think just kind of dressing it up a little bit would help a lot because does it seem confusing at all, Joe?
I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say it's confusing. Maybe the only thing that's confusing is the resources page.
Okay.
Just because you have all of those links, or not really links, but you know the label or whatever for each brand.
They're
just kind of all over the screen. I would say that's kind of the only thing that's confusing, but like I would just make it a little more visually appealing. And the thing about that is that you can learn basic design principles to help you with some of this stuff so that you kind of understand like how the human eye works and how humans typically perceive things to, you know, that makes it visually appealing to them. So like something I had to go through was data visualization, and we have to learn like, but when you do a visualization, what catches a person's eye and how do they typically read something, where do their eyes typically go first, and things of that. So, I mean,
that's the kind of I get everything from watching a video on YouTube.
And that's fine. Because you know, the good thing about the time we live in is like you can YouTube just about anything.
Yeah, absolutely. You can YouTube everything. So. I'm a certified YouTube mechanic.
I think maybe the first two things would be one, maybe just cleaning a few things up, trimming the edges just a little bit, and then two, figuring out a way to start getting eyes on the website. Because if you want to accomplish your goals and reach people, you know, you got to start figuring out a way to get eyes on the website.
Yep.
Because if
For sure.
Lance Googles it and he goes through 5 pages, nobody goes through more than 2 pages of search results. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Right.
Be lucky
Normally not even the second page.
Exactly. So,
Well, I noticed too. So if you type, like we have our mobile site, which I've barely touched, so I can only imagine what that looks like. But if you're typing, like if I go and type 1 day, if I type the website on my phone, it automatically puts the hyphen and wake up, which will break the link to the site. It won't go to our site. Like you have to correct. I guess it depends on if your phone is on autocorrect or not. But so that was something I noticed recently too.
I think also, what do you think the percentages of people? I mean, what do you think? 90% of the people are going to look at it on their phone.
Yeah, nowadays.
So maybe we shouldn't focus as much on. But the way that Wix does it is if you kind of build the desktop site and it kind of converts pretty well. Sometimes you have to move things around on the mobile site. But.
Like with our bios and stuff, I remember having to move some stuff around, but But it's like I pulled up on my phone right now. Okay, instead of having the banner across the top with all the stuff, there's like a 3-line thing that you can click and then click on those different sections. So yeah, I mean, it's just different. Like you can't see that whole picture from the homepage.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I turn it sideways.
Can go back.
Actually, if you turn it sideways, you can. But I mean, you
should be able to actually fit that to screen just on the mobile site. I should be able to do that. I think. Yeah. We'll see. Notice too.
Hey, Joe.
What's up?
I'll buy you one. Thank you for coming on, by the way. But you know what Beau could do is maybe go on his own website and buy a t-shirt. You know what I mean? That's all I'm asking. Just one.
Come on, man. You don't have a t-shirt yet?
I don't have a t-shirt. Listen, I'm going to get on there and buy some merch. I feel bad that I have not done that yet. I should be out there.
You should.
I should be advertising.
Yes.
In my defense, I have been living pretty light. We're about to close on
then
a
why
house.
You just tell me?
We're
I'll buy you a
on our
shirt.
dream house. No, come on.
Actually,
I've just been living a little light. We got to close on our dream property next month, and I can't do anything to screw that up.
Hey, listen, it's all about communication, Beau. You could have led with that 2 months ago. You would have had a box of shirts at your door.
I know.
Because listen, because there's going to be a period of time. I don't know if you told Katrina yet. Well, I'm going to be the guy on the couch all over again. You know what I mean? So I'm paying my dues now.
I'll just build you a cabin out there.
I told you, a single wide trailer. That's all I need. I'm easy.
All right.
I don't want it to be too nice where people want to come visit me, you know?
That's true.
Yeah.
I'll get a shirt. I'll order a shirt today. Well, I'll order one for Joe too. Everybody that we bring on, we should send them a shirt.
I agree. Or, what do we got? We got our shirts, sweatshirts, the mugs, the totes.
Right, yeah.
Still got the hats.
Now, so tell me what you think about this, Joe. Like the way that I see the website, this might not be how maybe Lance sees it, but I see it as an affiliate marketing site. I feel like we should put more emphasis on affiliate marketing because that's going to be our biggest source of income. Now, the income that we make, I wanted to be able to turn around and make donations to, different charities. But that's obviously not the end game. I want to do more, and I'm not really sure, exactly what to do, and Lance and I have a couple ideas, but if you have any ideas just off the top of your head that you think that you would like to see a company or organization like 1Day do, what do you think it would be? And I'll throw you out an example of what Lance and I have already talked about. We talked about developing an app that people would sign up for it to basically be somebody who will respond. If somebody's having a rough time and they just need to hear, a quick pick me up, like, hey, everything's like everything is going to be fine. If you signed up for that app, then you could you could go on there one time if you're having a hard time, like, hey, listen, this happened to me. This happened to me. I just need somebody to like, just whatever.
Yeah.
But then you could also sign up to be somebody who would respond to that individual too. And it's really all it is social media, but it's more focused on, and that is the best that's the most I've got out of it. I have no idea how to do it. I have no idea if that's even the right platform, if you should do that, if it's a good idea. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I think, I think that's kind of the right mindset, because you got to think about like who's your target audience. First of all, it's gonna be mainly, veterans and first responders. And, and most first responders, I think, probably come from the military. So,
yeah, I bet a lot of them.
I think what a lot of people are looking for is just like some type of community, and, one thing I've noticed is, it can be really difficult sometimes to kind of deal with the VA and get information. It's like I'm on Reddit sometimes, and there's a lot of veterans on there who are always asking questions like, oh, well, if I need to file a disability claim, what do I do? And it's just a whole range of different situations. So I think kind of what you guys are thinking is kind of in the right direction. It's just like, how do you come up with an idea that would kind of give veterans that kind of sense of community?
Right.
Because I think that's what most people miss when they get out. I mean, I know, speaking from my own perspective, that was the biggest thing. Like, the only friends that I really still have are from the Marine Corps. So, and I think that's what one of the things, the military really provides, is that sense of camaraderie, and you lose that and you kind of feel lost,
Right.
You don't have those, you get out and you don't always have those people to share those experiences with anymore, and quote unquote, be in the trenches with.
Right.
You can't always relate to the other people, like I got out, started working at Home Depot, and it's nobody really understood, so
right. And every once in a while you run into another dude who's a vet, and just instantly, even if that guy happens to be a little bit of a douchebag, you're still just like, yeah, but you know what, you kind of get it a little bit, and that's kind of a cool thing that happens every once in a while.
One of the things I'm really fortunate for is that the University of Arizona actually has a great veterans program, and they have a space. So they have like, in one of their buildings, they have like this big space that is just for veterans. So it's it's the Veteran Center where, you can go, you can print things off for free. They have access to computers. They have like a lounge area that you can eat food in there. So it's really great. And, you have all these people that were, from every branch of the military that you can talk to and get advice from. And
man, that's cool. Shout out to the University of Arizona.
I mean, that was really beneficial for me. And that's what, that's kind of what I'm getting at, is I think that's what a lot of people are missing. And that's, a lot of people's issues stem from that.
Do you know how common something like that is, Joe? I've never heard of that on a college campus.
I don't know. I mean, I've never looked at this like officially on a website or anything, but I've heard that like the University of Arizona has like the second best rated veterans program for a university. So, but I
mean, I'm online right now, but from USC, but I know people that go there physically too. I'm gonna ask them if they have anything like that there.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab a charger for this thing.
I don't think it's
talk amongst yourself.
Thanks, Beau.
Yeah.
Has that been up and running for a while?
Yeah, I think
since you've been going there.
Yeah, since I was going there. But yeah, I mean, they have a pretty tight knit veterans community at the U of A, and it's great. I literally never had an issue with any type of VA problem at the U of A. They're zero problems, and I mean, they reach out to their veterans. They have an email that goes out every week about different events that are taking place. They have like companies come in and they have like just like a veterans job fair. So yeah, they do a lot to try to set you up for success. And I think
now, is that put on from the university, or is that sponsored, or do you know any of that?
I don't. I know that, you know, they interact with the university officials, obviously, but I'm not sure how kind of any of that administrative stuff takes place. I know, they even have like you know, like, I don't know if you know Kirsten Sinema is. She's a senator.
So she's a good senator. She's a good senator.
Yeah.
She's one of the ones that is trying
Arizona.
to make this place normal.
So, you know, they had, like, I think it was Martha McSally and Kirsten Sinema both, you know, come in when they were running and talk to the veterans, and, like, you know, the veterans got to ask them questions about kind of, you know, what are you doing about these different issues and things like that. So they do a lot. I just don't think that there's a lot of that, like a lot of those types of programs or organizations for veterans when they get out. So I feel lucky in that regard that I have that resource there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
Well, with what I was saying about like that idea, I also think that all that can be accomplished with a Facebook page. And I'm trying to figure out what would separate me from Facebook, because honestly, all that stuff could just easily be it could be a Facebook group.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to think more outside of the box.
Any successful product what you want to do is make somebody's life easier. So that's kind of where your thinking should be. How can you accomplish that? That's what really attracts people. Is like, this makes my life easier. So it could be like, how do I find people close to me that are also veterans or suffering from PTSD or first responders or whatever that I can get together with.
And it might just be that it could just be that social media is pretty much figured out, and maybe we should just utilize the tools that we already have when it comes to things like that.
There's also a lot of tools out there that people don't even know about. I mean, what's today? Right. It hasn't rolled out yet, right? But like you were saying with 988, like how many people know about that? And
have you heard of that, Joe? No. So 988 actually, in 3 days, they're rolling it out, and basically what it is the mental health equivalent of 911. So and unfortunately 911 calls, a lot of the calls are mental health issues that the police aren't going to do anything about. You know, they might do a courtesy check or something like that. But the 988 is going to be strictly a mental health hotline. It's like, 911 for mental health, it's 988. It's going to clear up 911 and give people who are just having some sort of a mental issue an emergency resource.
Do you know how that's like, how that differentiates from like a suicide hotline or?
It's pretty much the same thing, but I think that I don't know if a suicide hotline has the resources to send first responders to a scene for just a mental. I think they would just probably call the police department in the nearest town that's probably already overworked, and that's my takeaway from it was they're actually it's gonna be set up just like 911 centers. The people who are and that's another thing, I could be wrong about this too, but I think suicide hotline is volunteers that do that, take those calls. They go through a course, but they're volunteers. These are actually going to be paid individuals who go through extensive training to be able to respond to situations like that.
One of the other resources we found while working on this site, like I had never heard of Vet Friends before. I mean, there's a lot of the resources that, I've got the apps like the Calm app, which I think is amazing, and then Headspace, those are the two that I use. But when we were looking up resources and affiliates, like most of this stuff, I didn't know any of it was out here.
Yeah. Yeah,
And that's another thing. I mean, maybe we're looking at it the wrong. Maybe we don't have to have a product. Maybe we can just be a really good conduit to people who need to know about these resources and products. Yeah. And we're just kind of we're just giving them a easy funnel to get there. Yeah. You know, and I feel like we can go beyond that. But honestly, that's really what it is. That's what we are. We're a place where people can go. I want it to be a place where people can go though, and kind of have a little bit of fun with the kind of the humor that people who see screwed up things have, you know, like Marines have the worst, have awful humor. If you know
that, that is, that's tricky, but yeah, I know what you mean. Because it's
right.
You know,
well, maybe in all this, we'll bring out Beau. I mean, I don't think I've ever laughed at one of your jokes ever. I don't think you've ever told one, but maybe this site will help bring that out of you.
Maybe.
You know,
I'm the funniest guy you know, Lance. You don't know anybody funnier.
With that fucking mustache, you are pretty funny right now. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe you should become a method actor.
I could play the Marlboro Man. I just need a cowboy hat. Yeah, I don't have a cowboy hat. I need one. I live in Nashville.
You do.
Well,
everybody in Nashville has a cowboy hat.
Not this guy. All right.
But
I can't believe you said I'm not
I want
funny.
to make
That's
sure
the most ridiculous thing anybody's ever said.
What?
I'm the most hysterical person you know.
Joe, I knew it. See, I knew he'd take it all personal. I laughed at a joke.
Come in and katana my brain.
I mean, it was a long time ago. It was when I was still a sergeant the first time, I think. You know, I mean, it was back then. Hey, but I will say this because we were talking about it when we had our last video session that didn't get recorded. We have not. I mean, like we're talking about doing stuff for charity or raising money, or you know, as of right now, we have spent no money that isn't our own money, and that will stay that way as far as I'm concerned. If we ever spend $1 on anything, giving it away or spend it on anything, we will make sure everyone knows that. Once we get, I mean, what do we have in the bank right now? $1,800 or something like that.
You're the bank account guy. I don't do anything,
but
I don't do numbers.
They didn't teach you that in Marine Corps?
I don't really do a whole lot of anything, to be honest with you. The website that I built sucked. I don't deal with numbers.
Listen,
I'm the comic relief. You said that I'm not
Joe,
funny.
You see this? Listen, I made one comment about him not being funny. Now he's self-deprecating. I'm just the worst human being. Listen, I apologize. Listen, you know what you're going to need to do after this? You need to go smoke you a bowl. And you'll be okay.
Put that bush light down.
No shit. Yeah.
Eventually, I'll stop drinking. Too. I'll stop drinking recession beer eventually.
Why don't you at least drink Natty Light or drink the good like PBR?
Bush is good.
No.
But I'll tell you though, there is a bar on Broadway in downtown Nashville. It's called Robert's Western World. And all the bars on Broadway, they've got live music. It's phenomenal. I mean, if anybody's never been to Nashville, you are missing out. Come to Nashville, go to Broadway.
Never been.
You're gonna spend $14 for every beer you drink. I guarantee you're gonna spend several $100s. But you can go bar to bar, and I'm telling you, every single bar on Broadway has world-class musicians. World-class musicians. You will go see world-class music and spend $14 on a beer. But I digress. Robert's Western World is a bar on Broadway, and they have $2.50 Bush Lights. Nobody else in Nashville is doing that. And they have this special. It's called the Recession Special. And you get for, I want to say it's like $5 or $6. You get a Bush Light. You get a fried bologna sandwich, a bag of Lay's potato
I'm sold.
chips.
You said bologna sandwich. I'm sold.
And a moon pie. It's called the Recession Special.
Nice.
It's the kind of places I like to go to. I'll shout out to Robert's Western World. We're all 6 people that are going to see this podcast.
Hey, I watched the first one you posted.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
You know, that actually got the first one we posted got a lot more traction than I thought it was going to.
I
a
had people
lot of
reaching out to
tuned
me
in.
out from school. Waleed, shout out. He's in class with me, works for B of A, high class, good dude. He was like, yeah, I got a lot of reactions from people. And I was like, oh, wait, what? You know, like I
Nice.
posted on Facebook, but I have like 17 friends on Facebook. And then I got like 100 people on LinkedIn. And I realized people were actually watching it. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, that's how I
Yeah.
found it. Well, that's how I found the website. Is Katrina posted it on LinkedIn, and I'm
Yeah.
friends with her. So. Yeah,
Are we not? You're not my connection on LinkedIn, Joe?
I don't think so.
I don't think I'm a connection with you on LinkedIn either there, Mr. Bundy. I know your wife added me.
I think I follow you now on LinkedIn. I don't remember. Maybe if you check it, you know that. But
Well,
Oh, hey, that's a good question.
good
So,
point.
you know, I see all these like bigwig CEOs and shit that you follow on LinkedIn, right? But everyone else you just like met or request, you know, friend request basically. What's the difference? How do you get your account to where you're being followed instead of just like a normal connection?
You just post content, and people will follow you. What do you mean? I mean, I'm
gonna look this up. So like, you know, I just pulled it up, so I'm looking away. But so like I pull up my LinkedIn network and there's all these people I can connect to. Or I go down to like, oh, Ted Colbert, he's the head of Boeing BDS. He used to be head of BGS. His doesn't say connect, his says follow.
you can
go to more, and then it should show you, give you an option to connect. It should be like following, message, more. And then, you should be able to connect with them then. That's what I just did for Beau just now.
Oh yeah, that's the real reason I logged on. Let's see if Beau is a true friend.
All right, Joe.
Let's see.
Hear me out.
Yep.
Let's say I could pay you more than Ford is paying you to just completely manage my social media.
You can't.
Am I gonna have to like probably start playing the lotto?
To pay me?
He said you can't afford me. That's
You
awesome.
can't pay me more than Ford.
Fuck, man. You know what? I think that is so badass. That is the coolest thing ever. He's like, you can't fucking afford me. Because I remember, you know, you
can't afford me and I'm free.
Just I can.
No,
Lance, I can afford you. Trust me.
When we met at
I can
that
afford
spring, when we met up at that spring baseball game in Mesa,
Yep.
I was bumming it. I had just started going back to school, I think.
Yeah,
and
but I mean, it just shows like you were going through, you know, and you're a smart guy, but you know, just transitioning out of something that has just the biggest impact on your life that anything could ever have, you know, being, you know, a Marine or, you know, being in the branch of the military or something like that. And then knowing the struggles that you were having, but then knowing that like you got just with hard work and dedication, got yourself to where you're at today, which I think is phenomenal. I think it's a story that should be told.
Well, I mean, I think there, you know, my personal belief is like, you have to take personal responsibility of, you know, the actions you take as an adult. And then I think there's real value in doing difficult things. That's one of the reasons that I chose kind of the path that I did, is that it's difficult. And I think that's kind of how you grow as an individual, is to do really difficult things and struggle through them, you know, until you eventually overcome those struggles. You know, whether you succeed or not, you know, and then it's kind of all about your perspective on failure. You know, how do you perceive those failures and what do they mean? So in my opinion, you know, it's another opportunity to grow, you know. And so you didn't really fail at the end of the day if you learn something.
Yep.
So,
how can you truly succeed without failing in the process?
Right. You can't. So it's like, you know,
if you're not failing, then you're probably not putting enough of yourself out there to get to where your true potential is.
Yeah. And you know, I don't know if you were really joking earlier or not, talking about how bad your website sucked, but you know, you can't name anybody who's built something the first time and it was awesome. Nobody does that.
Well, it's Beau's second time, but it's my first time.
Maybe Elon Musk.
He didn't
one of
even,
those guys.
he didn't even found Tesla, right?
No, I
No,
didn't know
what
that.
did he start out doing? His
built it.
dad.
no, it
was
wasn't
an
he.
engineer with money.
He's the Napster guy, right?
No,
he built an internet company that kind of like PayPal, but PayPal bought them, and then he became like some partner with PayPal, and then when PayPal got bought out, he made a lot of money and kind of used that to funnel money to other ventures. But yeah, he does come from a well-to-do family.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I looked into that company he's got in Vegas, the board company.
Oh, the Boring Company?
The Boring Company, that's right. Yeah, I looked into that, but he seems to be a little off right now with the half the world's allowing people to telework and hybrid and all this, and he came out telling people no, 40 hours of work minimum. I mean, whatever. But
I feel like we're slowly
seems a little
coming out of that.
volatile right now.
I feel like
to go the Elon Musk route.
It seems like people are starting to go back to work, though. I think that you're going to have more people who are going to find work from home jobs, but I think it's forced companies to create those jobs, which I think is great. But I think that people are starting to realize that, if I want nice things, I'm going to have to work.
Well, I just think that they've found that there's plenty of jobs that can be done remote, where there are certain jobs. Okay, so like what I do, field services with the customer with Marine Corps or Navy every day. I can do 90% of my job, my technical or computer job from my house, but I can't build relationships with customers from my house. You know what I mean? Like I have to be in the squadrons with the Marines, with the sailors. You can't just, but there are plenty of jobs within Boeing that people can do from home all day long.
Yeah.
Or even come into the office one day a week, or any combination thereof. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So when I was at Raytheon before Ford, and they basically sent out like a survey to every employee, and it's basically like, how often do you need to be in the office? So, and they use those responses to determine like, are you like, do you need to be on site full time? Are you a hybrid worker? Or can you do your job completely remote? And I think that's probably what most companies are going to transition to, is they're going to kind of optimize their office space and their workforce. Because, well, I probably shouldn't say that on here, but Raytheon has at least one.
Don't worry, Beau won't cut that part out.
Oh yeah, I forgot you can edit it. Yeah. All right. So Raytheon has multiple.
People need to hear what you're spitting, Joe. People need to hear it.
I don't know if I can say this or not, but yeah,
I'll cut it out.
You can.
I'll take out whatever you don't want in there. I'll take out.
Raytheon has multiple buildings here in Tucson, and so if they can optimize like their office space, that's rent that they don't have to pay essentially. So I think a lot of
everything is going to affect the bottom line. Okay, so I have a question for each of you. Lance, do you feel like the fact that you went into a job where you're still working every day with service members, do you feel like that helped you? Does that kind of make you feel like you're not completely disconnected from it?
Yes. I say that with hesitation because I go back and forth. So like, for instance, when I came in, I spent 5 years in New York at a reserve squadron. So there was, not even 300 active duty Marines. And that's what I was, my first 5 to 6 years were in that. So then I come down to a place like North Carolina where you can't drive 2 hours without being around somebody in some, you know what I mean? So I was brought up different. So I love having people like you guys around, but when it's overwhelming to me, I don't like it where that's my only option. You know what I mean? So yeah. So I'm a little like, I completely love it. But then being around it every day, you also see, you see stuff that's improving, but then you also see stuff that's going downhill. And then like you're saying, where you see stuff every day that you could fix where you work and make it better. Like, it gets frustrating because you're seeing maintenance practices or something leadership failure. And it just, some stuff is just systemically going bad in the Marine Corps. And then you just get more pissed off because there's literally nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. Joe, so my question to you is, with the fact that you're working every day at home, you're 100% remote, right?
Right. Yeah. I guess what you consider my home base would be in Dearborn, Michigan. And
okay.
No reason for me to ever go there.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to go there, actually.
No,
do you have an office?
That's a little bit of a rough place.
You have an office, or at least a standalone area that you set up in your house to kind of separate yourself from home, or is it just?
It's kind of like my office is our spare bedroom, so I have like a desk space and everything. It's kind of where I would do all my schoolwork and stuff, and just like when I started, I interned at Raytheon first, and at that time, COVID hadn't happened, and I was still going on site. And then, kind of towards the end of my internship is when COVID happened, and I have been working from home ever since. There was a short time at Raytheon where I started working on a different project, and I was required to go on site just because it was a secret access program, and so you have to be there to work on that type of stuff. But that was it. It was like for 2 months, I think. So, and then I got the job at Ford. But I just have like my office space here in my spare bedroom.
I feel like I have the theory, and I don't think it's much of a theory. I think it's kind of common knowledge. But for somebody who works, does that have an effect on your mental health? Like not getting up, going to a place where there's other coworkers and they're all going, and you're getting out of your house and you're going to not only a place where you work, but it's also a place of camaraderie. So, do you feel like there's definitely that?
Yes. When I started full time at Raytheon, I started having panic attacks.
Okay.
Like I would sit down to do work and I felt like I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was. It was almost just like an automatic response. I'd literally just sit down at my desk, get ready to do work, and I would start having these panic attacks like I couldn't breathe. I would have to literally go lay down for a minute until I settled down and then go back. And then, So, it is, I miss going in the office. If I had my preference, I would do something like a hybrid model, because I do enjoy the freedom it affords you, like the flexibility of the schedule.
Yeah.
I can just go, I can take the kids to school, I can go pick them up, or I can just go get lunch or whatever, walk downstairs and make coffee, things like that, that are real.
Yeah, definitely. There are definitely like situations that it's very helpful, especially when you got kids.
But when it comes to the actual work, I prefer to interact in person with somebody. I don't want to have to email you or instant message you to answer a question. I'd rather just like go over to your desk and ask you, or something like that. And I also like the, you build some camaraderie, and I think there's value in kind of actually having face-to-face time with people when you're working on a project.
Yeah,
I enjoy that. So
I wonder what kind of just knowing that, and I'm sure that everybody who's working remote is feeling that. So I wonder if we're going to see like a decline in production over the next few years because of that, until it levels out.
I've heard that when I was at Raytheon, I've heard that people were more productive working from home, and I have a hard time believing it.
Right. Because I think it probably starts out that way.
Maybe
probably starts out that way, and then it doesn't stay.
But there's studies to show that is the case, that people are more productive. But it also goes to your point. So because of things like COVID and the new world that we live in, so companies are also realizing that even if you can't work hybrid or from home, they're also starting to realize, hey, like you're saying, taking your kids to school every day. A lot of companies are realizing, like, hey, Joe doesn't need to be in the office at 6:30. Like, why doesn't he work 7:30 to 3:30 instead of 6:30 to 2:30? And then he can take his kids to school every day. You know what I mean? So everyone's situation is different, but that's a big part of Joe's life, taking his kids to school, right? So, you know what I mean? By affording him that opportunity, overall makes him more productive at work. The same goes with, you're saying people can be more productive telecommuting, but it will taper off. I mean, I think that is maybe based on an individual as well, because you can hire someone that works at the office or whatever they do all day long, and they start off killing it and then slowly taper off. So I don't know if that necessarily has to do with the telecommute or the telecommuting part of it. I think it might have to do more with the person and their,
Maybe I'm just like everything I'm saying, I'm projecting inward. Maybe I'm actually talking about myself. I think that we figured it out. I think I'm just a lazy piece of shit. Might as well drink some beer.
But there's benefits. There's pros and cons to the whole working from home thing. I mean, I think I generally like it now. I've adapted. I've done it long enough where I've kind of adapted to it and kind of found out a way to make it work within the structure of my own life, so that it's beneficial. So
I think it's not for everybody, but I think it's some people it's very good for. Yeah, I'm with you, Joe. I guess if I ended up going virtual, I guess over time I'm like you, I might get used to it, but for now, I'd like to do a hybrid. That would be cool, especially for going to school right now.
Yeah,
when that starts getting a little tougher, but I don't know if I could fully do the virtual thing, but you never know. I mean, like you're saying, it might be perfect.
Yeah, that was another thing is, it was, I think during my 2 semesters ago, during, in graduate school, I was going on site again, but I was also taking 2 graduate courses, and that became really stressful because working from home, your hours can be a little more flexible, whereas working on site, it's a little different. There's certain times you have to be there and all this stuff. So I mean, I like the flexibility, but basically I miss the person-to-person interactions.
Joe, do you have anything that you want to just throw out, or anything you want to talk about, or
you got an OnlyFans page or anything you want to promote?
Yeah, that's why he's making so much money.
Not yet, but now that you mention, I might start one. I'm sure there's
some good looking. You got nice feet. Your feet look.
I don't know what.
That's subjective, Beau.
Are there men? Like them. Are there men who have nice feet?
I don't know. I'm not one of them.
There's women that don't, so I would assume there's men that do.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything right now.
Wow, you just said it. You're saying that Katrina has ugly feet.
No, I didn't say that. You said it. You said that.
No,
I didn't
that's
say
what
a word.
Listen, I've known you a long time. I know exactly where you were going. That's why you used to suck so bad at playing poker. You your face just gives it all away.
I know.
That's why Jason Jones used to take all your money, because you just give it away.
I know. I used to, between you and Jason, I paid you both of your rent for a couple of years. So.
No, I used to just get too drunk. I just give it all back.
Eventually. You got anything you want to promote, Joe, or anything you want to throw out there?
I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean, really, all my time is made up of work, and when I'm going to school, and typically in my free time, I'm doing like side projects and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I mean, when I saw the link on LinkedIn, and that's kind of what. I mean, it caught my eye, one, because I think the cause you guys are trying to promote, is a really good thing, and then 2, I figured you might need some help, so I figured I would at least throw it out there to you with the website and stuff.
I love it.
I'm glad you
that's
do.
What Lance
I'm glad
trying
you do
to do.
Tell us what sucks. Yeah, that's what I want to hear, man. If it's something, because I might know it sucks, but until someone else tells me, I'll be like, oh, maybe someone else won't notice that shopping page is complete shit.
And honestly, that's why it was so powerful when Lance called me and offered his help, because I read through the lines. I knew what he was saying, and I knew it deep down. I like he said, I needed to hear somebody else say it. Mm-hmm. To be honest with you, I needed to hear somebody that I trust. I needed to hear somebody, say that. So that's what
Which, so I'm glad
They
you're
realize.
saying it, Joe, because he sure as shit didn't listen to me.
Yeah, I mean, any type of venture, you have to have somebody who tells you the truth, you know. And
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I nerd out on this type of stuff. You know, I literally do this in my free time. So anything related to like programming or data science, you know, I legitimately enjoy doing it when I'm.
Well, hey, if I win that Mega Millions at the end of the week, we'll be able to afford you.
Yeah.
No, I just appreciate you guys inviting me on or inviting me to this Zoom meeting. It's good to see both of you.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can
Yeah.
help
Be the
out.
last.
Literally, I like doing this stuff. So yeah, just let me know. However, I can, whatever help you need, I'll try to come up with some ideas and stuff.
Well,
Hey,
I'm officially
you definitely brought some class
making
to our vlog there, Joe. I'll give you that.
on this
I appreciate
dumbness. You are officially a member of 1Day-Wakeup.
And then,
you
hey,
got in.
maybe,
You got
maybe
in.
next time you do this, Beau will tell a joke.
I've been hilarious this entire. The only reason people are watching this is because of my comedy.
No,
Joe's
it's because of your
about
face. Because
molecular
when you're not
structures
talking, you're hilarious. Like, I mean,
whatever sells tickets, baby. Whatever sells tickets. All right. Well, Joe, hey, look, I appreciate you coming on, man. I really do. Thanks for telling your story. I think I want to get this out there so people hear that story. It's a good story. You're definitely you've got your inspiration. You're an inspiration to us all.
absolutely.
And you can come back on the podcast anytime.
Open invitation.
Open invitation whenever you want.
I appreciate it.